Hello. Good morning. How's it going? Surprise. Nobody expects the Silent Hill 2 Inquisition. Hope you're all well. Gotcha. Wasn't expecting this stream. Neither was I. But you know what? Truth be told, I had some drinks last night on a technicality and ordered some food, and here I am. You know, I've eaten my food, I've had my drinks. TM. And you know what? The past few days, I've been thinking about Silent Hill. I've been watching some videos and. Well, I mean, you know me by this point. It's on the noggin constantly, obviously. So I figure I would just do a little stream. I was meant to stream earlier on today, doing some what is it? Some what's the game called? Man, it's escaping me right now. Stardew Valley, but I just didn't get the time, and time passed, and before you knew it, it was too late, really. I was doing other things, and then by the time I was done with the you have to excuse me. I'm pretty out of it. I'm pretty tired. By the time I was done with my incident reports for Le Mans series with Sroll, I was playing some games with some friends and playing a bit of GeoGuessr, playing a bit of F1 2021, as I shared on Discord. I've been, like I said, I've been thinking about this game for a bit, and not this game in particular, but the franchise, of course. Perpetual thinking of Silent Hill. It's a curse. So yeah, I didn't really know what to do. So here we are. Yeah, I did all right. Caught up with some good mates that I haven't really sat down and played some games with for a while, and you know, got to have a laugh with some people I've not sat down and had a laugh with before. At the same time, overindulged in horrendously bad food, and had a couple of bottles of wine, and here we are. So, as much as I am here for some Silent Hill, I'm here for you guys as well when I have a chin wag, and yeah, we're just going to shoot the shit, really. So, I hope you're well. I hope you had a good weekend. We're going to play Silent Hill 2 Remake, I think. I say I think because I haven't really planned. I installed it. We can play it. I've not got anything exciting for you other than the base game. But I perpetually have the vanilla Silent Hill 2 ready to go. So, who knows, might switch to that. I don't know. I feel like I owe you a stream after yesterday's disappointment. I know Assassin will know exactly what I'm talking about there with the disappointment that was the Syndicate Motorsport 4 Hours of Mexico. Assassin also intending to do the 4 hours in the touring cars class. Bit of a letdown that we didn't get to commit to the race, but it is what it is. That's why I really wanted to do something today, or earlier today. But here we are. Peggle! I tell you what, Tim, Peggle Peggle's a banger. I remember when Peggle first came out, right? Before I had a PC, had it bought on Xbox 360 Arcade and just fucking sat there all night and played it start to finish. It was a banger. Peggle's great. Hey Yuri, yeah, I think I will. I think we're just going to wait until I'm done with Cyberpunk, and then that'll be our next mainline game, for sure. Cloudman Racing from New Zealand, welcome. G'day, mate. Sorry, that sounds like it. It was deeper than it was meant to be. It was meant to be egg. Hello. Not anything more than that. I'm not Australian, I swear. G'day is natural. I'm not trying to make a point or anything. I hope you are. Man, I'm a little out of it. I'm a bit out of sorts, so forgive me. Yeah, RE9 definitely. RE9. I can't believe we're already at Resident Evil 9. Definitely gonna do it. I know nothing about it. I know that you know, other than the obvious stuff like Leon's in it and Ashcroft's in it. Once I'm done with Cyberpunk, we'll get to it for sure. I've got a copy of it ready to go. Put it that way. You're Kiwi. Yeah, I figured as much. Hence the New Zealand. I don't know. Maybe it's my perspective from the outside looking in, but it felt a bit disrespectful to hit you up with the definitely Australian "G'day, mate." Immediately after you stating yourself as being not Australian. You know, it is New Zealand Australian time zone for sure. But yeah, appreciate you all joining me. It might not be a particularly long one tonight, but I figured while I had some energy in me, we're just gonna play it. I'm 2.5 bottles of wine deep. I had a McDonald's like 40 minutes ago. I'm feeling pretty bleh, but here we are. So we're gonna play some Silent Hill. we're gonna, after consuming a bit of capitalism, we're gonna get involved in the deep philosophical subjects of Silent Hill. Hope you're into that. Hey Todd. See, Todd's a fellow that's been around a lot enough to know that Silent Hill is an addiction for me. So he's like, I see Nate's not slept yet today. Poor guy must have something going on. Hepto. You mean more alcohol, right? I said 2.5 bottles. That means I have half a bottle ready to go. 24. That's 23 in the morning for me. Yeah. Right. Should we get the game going? We can chinwag our way through. I don't know what I'm doing. I did download it. I love some Silent Hill, man. It's my favorite franchise. It's got to be said. I'm here because you race with the Broadbent and GP Laps. I apologize in advance that I cannot provide the level of entertainment that usually follows racing with GP Laps or Mr. Broadbent. But there's more to these streams than just a bit of brum brum Or Crash Crash, if you prefer. Quote, Catfish, yes. Man. What is the date on that? You can tell it's old because Kiri is quoted. I love Jake. I love Jimmy. But for the longest time, these streams have been more than just a bit of sim racing. I love it, don't get me wrong, but my dream when it comes to hosting these sorts of streams is to break free from the crutches and the limitations of it just being sim racing. I love sim racing, don't get me wrong, but you know, I also like playing all sorts of games. But you know how it is. You're at the whim of the audience, obviously. So I hope this can be interesting enough for you to stick around. You missed Weebs Day? Hey, BG. It's been a minute. Weeb Wednesdays were the best until PG4 killed it. I thought you said PGR4. I was like, what the fuck is Project Gotham Racing 4 had to do with the Weeb Wednesdays? But no. Persona Golden 4 did probably kill it. Yeah, you're right there. My first Persona game, and it just ruined it. Well, thank you, Cloud Man. I appreciate that. Yeah, a bit of a disappointment that the Syndicate Motorsport 4 Hour of Mexico didn't get going, but always a pleasure to share a car with Jake. A good co-driver, or teammate, I should say. Looking forward to the next one we get to do it together, but it'll be a minute until we do get to race as teammates. Typically, these race driver swaps are far and few in between, but as I host stuff via Stroll, I'm sure we'll have him streaming his perspective of the race on the 4th of April, hopefully. It was good while it lasted, yeah, for sure. But here's to a proper driver swap in future. You need the voices? I don't have it in me anymore, bro. That's the kind of shit you need to get like a guaranteed paycheck for. It's a lot of work. Amongst all the other things I invest my time and energy in, it's just too much. Speaking of, clearly we should run like a stupid mask, right? If you don't know Silent Hill 2 by now, in what case, what are you doing? But really, the question is, do you know the game at all? I love this franchise, but I love this specific game for the past 25 years. But we've had this remake, and it's a banger too. So we're just going to jump in, really. I would like to preface this stream by saying that Silent Hill 2 covers some pretty sensitive topics along the lines of suicide, unaliving, if I should have any interest in keeping things monetized. Just kidding. Things don't get monetized anyway. Sensitive topics is my point. So we're just keep that in mind as we go in. I don't want anybody to get blindsided by the topics that this game provides if you aren't aware of the kind of things that it does get involved with. But yeah, we're just going to wing it for now. I've beaten this game so many times. I'm 100%ed this game as far as achievements are concerned, so I've got nothing else to unlock. But if you know me, you know that I love this game, the original, And I've been wanting to do the remake again sometime soon. Sorry, my life is shrouded in weed smoke. Why are you apologizing, bro? Unless you're apologizing because you're like, I'm sorry you're so jealous that I'm getting absolutely crunked and you just sat here sober as fuck. Sorry, bro. Sorry, no apologies. All right, man. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself, BG. Right, anyway. Hey, Thane as well, welcome. What is this hour? I don't know, mate. I could be live for the next 30 minutes. I could be live for the next 2 hours and 30 minutes. I don't know. I just want to preface the stream by saying I've been drinking tonight. I'm pretty naked. So we're just winging it. I should have really chosen a cursed skin or something for this game, but I'm so at odds with this game, right? Because I love it and I love the serious topics that it approaches, but then I'm like, I've played it so many times, so shouldn't I do a silly skin or something? It's like, no, but then it kind of undervalues the topic, right? Oh, I don't fucking know. New game. Game mode. New game plus or default? We'll do default. Combat challenge. Hard. Puzzles challenge. Hard. Interface preset. Oh, fucking no. James's mask. D's. D's nuts, am I right? Alright. See the mark where his wedding ring once was. Bit of that Akira Yamaoka original soundtrack. Love that little flavor they added to the soundtrack based on the original.
Mary, could you really be in this town?
It's kind of wild still seeing this game modernized, you know? Having known this game from 25 years ago now, quarter of a century. That's
in my restless dreams, I see that town. Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday. But you never did. Well, I'm alone there now. In our special place. Waiting for you.
I got a letter. The name on the envelope said Mary. wife's name. It's ridiculous. Couldn't possibly be true. That's what I keep telling myself. Mary died of that damn disease 3 years ago. So then why am I looking for her? Our special place. What could she mean? This whole town was our special place. Could Mary really be here? Is she really alive? Waiting for me?
All right. Welcome to Silent Hill 2 Remake. Couple of years old now. A brilliant remake of the original from 2001, released on PlayStation 2, PC, and Xbox original, across a bit of a spread of time, really. One of my favorite games of all time. Top 3, for sure. Very mature in how it handles its topics, subjects. It's hard to really talk about without spoiling it if you don't know, but I've wanted to do a stream for a while, or some streams for a while, where I covered both the remake and the original back to back. Not necessarily like full playthrough to full playthrough, but partially like section to section on both games. So say I get myself to the town and then I switch to the original and then we play to the town. Just to sort of cover the differences in tone, dialogue, but also the difference in sort of progression, how long it takes you to get to said part of the game. I love them both dearly. My love will always be for the original. I think its pacing is just right. But I do love this remake. And whilst I was very critical of it when it first came out a couple of years ago, I feel like I've calmed down a bit on my frustrations with it. They're still there, but at the risk of sounding cynical, you kind of have to expect a certain amount of appealing to the masses when it comes to presenting something quite as nuanced as the original storyline, to the point where, yeah, it feels a little dumbed down in how it presents its subject matter. I think it still does a really good job. It's just that I think the subtlety of the tone of the original is what makes me favorite. Well, you guys know me. I'm a big fan of the original anyway, so I'm biased. BG, glad to have you here. I know I don't get to see you very often. I don't do these late streams so much as I used to. At the best attempt of trying to keep myself on a good schedule for myself, but I do miss doing these later streams. Tim, thank you very much for the 90 stream streak. Look at that. Thank you very much. And a hydrate recommendation too. Sure, why not? Anything else I've missed? Whoa, we're in the game. So this is right at the beginning of the base game. I say the base game. The game. Facultates? Is that facultates or facilitates? Probably facilitates. In hindsight, shouldn't have asked that question. Welcome. What? That's the sound of my straw, my bad. Bit of the Coke Zero going, my bad. I never know really how to handle a playthrough of this game, right? Because I know the game inside out, and there's so many like early onset hints at the outcome of the story. Anyone here not know the story of Silent Hill 2 out of curiosity? There's no wrong answers. I'm curious if anybody here doesn't know the story of the game. I'm a bit of a cynic when it comes to modern gaming and graphics. Not that I think they look ugly or anything, but I am a cynic when it comes to this apparent obsession with ray traced and path traced graphics. I don't think they're the solution. I don't know why we need dynamic time of day support in games like this, where in reality I think baked lighting and other such things are more than suitable. Just watch these leaves. To those of you that have watched my first playthrough of this remake since it came out, I apologize for going over this topic again, but the ghosting on these leaves will forever be like a hard to avoid thing. I think at the moment they look alright, but you definitely see some of the ghosting. These are just 2D textures, these leaves, because of the need for sort of DLSS and things and frame gen to avoid losing too many frames because of the ray tracing. They stand out quite a bit. You're not sure about Silent Hill 2? You mean like as in you know the story, you're not sure about it, or you're not sure if you know the story? Well, modern games look fairly similar to each other. Yeah, it's true. It's true for sure. It's true. I'm thinking I might entertain that idea I was talking about if I'm still alive, conscious, and streaming still in about an hour. Maybe I'll switch to the original and I'll compare them back to back. But here in this version, you can walk as if you're leaving. The game says no, though. He has nothing to say, though. It's crazy, right? Because the original game came out 25 years ago. And it was back in a time where full-timed voiced protagonists were less of a thing. So you had a lot of that, oh, there's a lamppost, I want to interact with that, and you'd press your interact button and you get a text prompt on the screen. Whereas modern day, I feel like you'd interact with something, and if it was something worth mentioning, your character would vocally cover anything, right? Which is where this differs a lot from the original, is you miss a lot of nuance from those text prompts that you would have had in the original compared to what you get now. However, in the cutscenes themselves, that sort of tries to look, it looks to try and cover what it misses, right? You don't know the second story. I assume by that you know the first story. I know this game's story from the fragments I get from watching your streams. I can only apologize, and it's probably a bit confusing. What I can say about this game, or this story I should say in general, is that it covers sensitive topics about suicide and the loss of loved ones. It covers the topic of the human affliction, I guess, and a lot of things that don't really seem obvious at first glance, but on a second playthrough or even halfway through a first playthrough, it seemed pretty obvious. yeah, it's. I never like to be like, hey guys, this game's pretty deep. I think it should speak for itself, and it really does. But I never like somebody to be blindsided by the kind of topics they can expect to see. Much more story driven than Ari. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's no discredit to Resident Evil, because I love that game. It lacks the nuances that Silent Hill has, but that's not a discredit to the franchise. I think Resident Evil really covers survival horror really well. I'm really looking forward to playing Resident Evil 9 for the first time once I get around to it. I still know nothing about it, so I'll be going in blind. But they're just different games, really. Whilst Silent Hill was born out of the wish to compete with Resident Evil back in the 90s, it's right from day dot, it was very different and continues to be that way. Yeah, exactly. Not to knock on it at all. It's. I feel like Silent Hill for the first few games was very mature in how it managed the topics. But I know that can sound a bit pretentious and a bit much for some people who are like maybe used to getting their sort of stories from movies or TV. Is that I'd argue games can do those things just as well, if not better, just from the perspective of being a bit more interactive, having you participating in the stories that portray those topics, maybe a bit more than TV or movie. Not to discredit those as well, because there's plenty of TV and movie that I love. But right from the beginning, there's signs. There's obvious hints, and in the remake, even more obvious maybe than in the original of what's going on. That's not to say that if you've never played it before, you should be looking for them. They're not going to be obvious to you then. In the original game, you saw the cutscene, right? We start in the bathroom, and whilst I'd say there's not really much to see there in the original, there's not much to see here in the remake either. This graphic on the wall here, I forget, Lilith, I think it's called. It's some devil worship shit, really. This is actually all legible in the original text, but I can't remember what it says. The hands fashioned. Actually, I don't recall what this is, but you think that it's all sort of like just tonal, like irrelevant stuff, but it sort of adds to the layers. I don't really want to spell it out because it sort of ruins it, I think. As far as this goes, like I don't want to profess to know the ins and outs of exactly what they were going for with this game, but all sorts of layers. Here, this is James's car. This is where he's just pulled in. A bit of a shocking parking job, I'd say. My American viewers, what is this car? I once upon a time knew exactly what this car was. It's a fictional variant of an existing car. I don't know if it's a Pontiac. Let me quickly look it up, actually. I know people know it online because it's been around for 25 years already. Don't look it up, by the way, because you'll spoil yourself. Pontiac Ventura, 1977. There you go. very haphazardly parked at the side of the road. Not too much depth as to why it is that brand, but just a nice touch to those of us that know our cars and love our cars. We get our map here. You don't have to pick it up here. You can get it later on as well, but the story so far is that really, like you saw in the cutscene, James came to in that bathroom over there, clearly having an episode of sorts, panicking. This is where we begin, really. Again, like I say, there's a lot to really unpack here with this car alone. On a second playthrough, or even a first, if you know what I'm looking for. But this is the observation deck. Excuse me. Of Toluca Lake. I don't know what my buttons are, my bad, I can't look. I'm sure you know Silent Hill is synonymous with fog, even if you don't know franchise in general. I've been yapping long enough, so shall we actually continue with the game? I always hate myself for playing these games because I love them so much, and then the nuance of the storytelling that I'm like, oh yeah, well guys, you got to understand that when they say Paleville is 10 miles away and Old Silent Hill is 50 miles away and Brahms is miles away, then it really means something important. And whilst that does sound like parody and a joke, it's actually true. In the original, the mileage from Brahms was actually clear. It said 265, which you can only assume is miles given what it says there on the left side. In the original Silent Hill, Brahms is the next town over from Silent Hill, the town in which Sybil Bennett, the police officer you come across as Harry Mason, the town she comes from, the one that rides the motorcycle and has the accident. So nobody knows why in the original Silent Hill 2 Brahms was noted as being so far away. I think it was 265. Put it this way, there's a reason why it's obscured in this game, right? Because in the original it said that, let's say, for the sake of consistency, it said 265. It was an absurdly high number for what was meant to be the next town over, right? A lot of people never really understood what that meant. There was the Silent Hill remasters of Silent Hill 2 and 3, and they corrected it. I can't remember what 2, but it was essentially 26.5 because they felt like it was an oversight from the original developers that, oh, it's so far away. Then there's the mod of the original Silent Hill 2 on PC that updates the resolution of textures and things. And they changed it as well for a similar situation, which was to try and make it seem like it made more sense. But I think over time, a lot of dedicated fans have asked the question, maybe it was part of the point was that it was meant to be stupidly incorrect, was to be the first element or idea that things aren't quite right. You know, a hint of what's to come, maybe. I don't know what the answer is. I'm sure 99% of you don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I kind of like that even after 25 years, people don't know the actual answer, especially given that the devs have clarified a lot of things over the years, but that's one thing that they will never move on, is that they will not talk about that. They don't really know. Well, not that they don't know, but they don't want to confirm or deny, I suppose. So I kind of like that there's still some unknowns involved. It's nice to have things to actually think about and I guess think about and guess about, and so have something to consider rather than it having a definitive answer to. So anyway, I've spent the first 43 minutes of this stream building up to playing this game. Should we actually indulge in a bit of the ambience immediately with some of the audio? Love the sounds of this game. I love it when a game makes me shit my pants. 10 out of 10. Would shit my pants again. I'm gonna quickly change my sensitivity. Well, it's the same with movie, right? I love it when a story doesn't give you all the answers. I love it when it lets you think about things and consider them for yourself. I have a lot of things that I don't like about this remake, but the fact that we ever even got one is kind of crazy to me. So my love for it has grown over time. My biggest criticisms about this remake are that their Unreal Engine, that it runs as poorly as it does, and whilst at times it looks as photorealistic as it does, it also looks modern video gamey, where like you see all the noise in the image currently, like look at the foliage. There's a lot of like shimmering and movement in the shadows. This is modern video games to me, where like in an image still, it can look absolutely stunning and beautiful, but the reality of it is in movement it looks really uncanny and looks like an oil painting and weird. The reality of it is a not particularly well put together Unreal Engine based game can end up looking a little rough in movement in a still, beautiful, but it doesn't ruin it, but it sort of undoes all this effort towards a super realistic image in my eyes. I'd rather something looked in general a little less realistic but consistent compared to what we get with ray traced images and global illumination, as opposed to like some actual baked textures. I think there's no need here for dynamics in time of day or anything, so there's no need for these kind of issues, personally. Well, Silent Hill 2 was notorious for being a bit of a flop on release, because Silent Hill 1 was a banger. It released, people loved it, and when the sequel was coming out, people were expecting much of the same, but the story was a completely new perspective and a different thing. So it's notorious on release for being a disappointment. It's a cult classic, I suppose, is Silent Hill 2, really, in hindsight. Probably didn't take too long for it to get into that position. That's why Silent Hill 3 was what it was. It was a direct sequel to the first game. But yeah, I think people will sort of appreciate Silent Hill 2 a lot more for what it is now, that they can credit it on its own merits rather than being a direct sequel to the first game. There's several playthroughs that have come before this. I suppose that would be my next criticism I forget about with this game, is it fucking takes forever, man. It's such a long game compared to the original, and not in a good way. Let's do a fresh save. Can we do a fresh save, or have I already committed to all saves? Let's do it over this one. Hey Greg, welcome. Hey Burns as well.
Someone's groping around my skull.
That's one of those comments that feels a little out of place in the modern game, just because that's the exact same comment that he would make in text form in the originals, back when games were... There was a lot less actual dialogue and a lot more text-based sort of interactions. Like, you'd inspect something, you get a text-based response. It's the exact thing you would have got from in the original. The first time you interact with a save point, you get that exact dialogue in text form. I feel like it works a little better in that way. And when I first played through this game a couple of years ago, I was a lot worried that that was going to be the tempo for the game, is you'd get all of those text-based interactions in, you know, vocalized, but that's not actually the case. I think it does a really good job of sort of splitting the balance quite well. Right, let's go meet our first character of the game, outside of James, of course.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. I was just...
Hey, it's okay. I didn't mean to scare you. I'm kind of lost.
Lost?
Yeah, I'm looking for Silent Hill. Is this the right way?
Yeah. It's hard to see with this fog, but there's only the one road. You can't miss it.
Thanks.
But... I think you should stay away. This town, there's something wrong with it. And it's not just the fog either.
Is it dangerous?
Maybe. It's kind of hard to explain, but
I'll be careful.
I'm not lying.
No, I believe you. It's just... I guess I don't really care if it's dangerous or not. I'm going either way.
But why?
I'm looking for... someone. Someone very important to me.
Me too. I'm looking for my mama. I mean, my mother. It's been so long since I've seen her. I thought my father and brother were here, but I can't find them either. I'm sorry, it's not your problem.
No, I hope you find them.
Yeah, you too.
Well, that was Angela. She's a little out of it, eh? But it's alright, so is James. So they're a pair. Just like in the original, we can reapproach her and instigate a dialogue that's a little awkward.
Did you want anything else?
No, it's just... this fog. Does it seem unsettling to you?
I guess. It's just through the gate and down the path. You'll get there in no time.
All right.
Good luck finding the one you're looking for.
Yeah, I should probably get going.
Well, yeah, Thane, that's again some of the subtle foreshadowing, I suppose, right? Yeah, fog tech's come a long way since 2001, eh? This is New Game, as opposed to New Game Plus, which means that we don't have access to the first of several items that will give us access to a special ending. On a New Game Plus and playthrough, this grave will already be filled and an item ready to pick up. But just love the ominous sounds you get coming from the fog on the lake. In the original Silent Hill, I think the fog was a lot more of a solution to PlayStation 1 hardware limitations. Yeah, I think Silent Hill 2, it was not so much that, but they incorporated it into the design of the game so that they could maybe increase the graphical fidelity to then make the decision to say, look, maybe the draw distance is lower in general and we can use the fog to ensure that that's how it operates, and then yeah, you can up the graphical fidelity. Attention to detail is nuts. You can hear here. Listen closely. I feel like you get some unique sounds coming from this. Some draft sounds coming from this church. There's also some text here. All have sinned, fall short of God's glory. That draft sound comes directly from there. Does it mean anything? Not really. Just a nice bit of attention to detail. So they did a good job with the remake. Just link to those elements. Some of that ambience remixed from the original. Akira Yamaoka was on audio again this time around. Remixed a lot of the original songs and ambient tracks, but a lot of it was also original to the game. Some of it, I mean, for me, it's pretty clear what was Yamaoka and which was maybe not. There's some terrible audio looping in this game, unfortunately. Wish it was easy to fix as well, but just a limitation of how the game is programmed, I think, in some cases. Some lovely sounds from the field over there. Here we are at Silent Hill Ranch. Yeah, those that know Silent Hill remaster from back on the PS3 era will know the significance of Silent Hill Ranch. This would also be where you pick up your chainsaw on New Game Plus. There's such gifts for us. Yeah. That's alright. Some of that lovely ambience, or horrible ambience, depending on how you look at it. It's very faithful though, this remake, for sure. For the story, the ambience, the music in general. So we can't pass through there. Went to town to get the window fixed. Spare keys in the drawer.
Hello? Anyone in here?
Something about that ambience, the... Can't really hear it. That background audio of... a spiral to it, you know. It's like a headache. A fucking creepy headache. Something about it that has this perpetual, even there, this noise about it that's unsettling. They've sort of mixed off of it as well. They've taken those themes and they've created bits of music like this one. They riff off of it very well. Hey Israel, welcome. So nothing here but the key we're looking for. In the remake here, there's many references to the original, named glimpses to the past. Here's your first one here. Meant to be a glimpse to the past, a reference to the first combat encounter you get in the original from 2001. When you hear that sound effect, that's meant to be an interaction that is a reference to the original. Here, this would be, like I say, a reference to the original combat encounter. Slightly different how it plays out here in the remake, but you can hear the old radio and lying figure here. Background. Sun Hill sign would be up on the side here in the original. The original, this would be a load screen, and this would be a point of no return. A key point that I think is a very cool reference in the original is that you pass through this fence, this gate, and if you try and return, because it's a load screen, you'd interact with this and it would say something along the lines of, there's no need to return or go back. You know, he knows what he's there to do. Just to find Mary. We're not on New Game Plus again, so we can't access one of the... Don't have the chainsaw, so we can't break this window to access the New Game Plus item. An interesting road sign. Doesn't look like there's any sign underneath that, does it? It just looks like rust. Let's keep on moving. Very faithful to the original is this path. Narrow road. Get some of that traversal stutter from Unreal Engine. Yummy. But you can just about see the bottom of this. This area down to the right here, but It's crazy how faithful it is to the original in design and everything. Here we're going to get our first access to the map of the town, or at least the east part of the town. So we've just come from the observation deck here. So all the way through to the graveyard, then through the Silent Hill Ranch, just past under Nathan Avenue as I showed you. So now you can see where we are here, just coming into the east side of Silent Hill. All the road names being references to different authors, horror authors in general that were inspiration to the franchise. Some little nods here. This is a first aid box, a first exposure to a first aid box in the game, but it's already open and empty. Bit of a nod to the original, as that's where you'd find your first aid kit, but looks like it's already been taken. No weapon yet, so nothing to interact with, but unlike the original, we can actually go into the flower shop here and read a little flavor text. Muck on the floor as well. Again, texture work is beautiful in this remake. It's Cassandra, a customer came in today, ordered a mixed bouquet, red and white. I tried to explain its bad luck, but he wouldn't decide on just one. He seemed a bit off. Looked at me like I wasn't even there. Then he just left. Said he'd be back to pick him up later. Just wanted to let you know since I might be gone by then. Sus. So that's new story. It's new flavor text compared to the original. Again, you would never come in near the original. Building existed, but wasn't enterable.
What is this?
Muck, James. It's gross is what it is. Shall we keep on going? So in the original, see where Vax Road is? Just north of us? And how that road follows to a fork where you go left and right? That left fork would be where that first combat encounter is in the original. And that's what we got the glimpse into the past of. But again, like I say, it plays out a little differently. Our first interaction with a monster, however, is at the exact same spot. So let's keep going for a bit here. Go and trigger that.
More of that
stuff, huh? I think it's pretty clear it's viscera. This is where you get your first sort of glimpse of a monster in the original, but they give you a bit more free reign here. Weirdly, it's actually a little more linear than it is compared to the original, but means you don't miss your opportunities to interface with monsters and things. You get to look around and have a glimpse at some of the weirdness that the game's already presenting you. Make sure the town already feels a little weird, but to have these barricades of duvets or sheets. Mexican restaurant. Actually get a glimpse. Maybe not from here, but just keep running down here and I'll show you what I mean.
Hey, wait.
Now this is where you would typically go. It's already been marked off here. To follow the monster, the stain would go down here and you'd follow it, but now become a glimpse into the past. You can't go down there anymore. It's kind of lame. I love the audio in this game, but it has a limitation, which is that what you're hearing right now is an audio loop. And while some of the audio is great, it loses its effectiveness very quickly because it loops again and again and again. It's a pity because in the original you had situational audio. You'd get tracks that were specific to locations. That high-pitched whine you heard and that weird sort of stuttery audio was specific to one location in the original, whereas now it's repetitive, which is it's a bit of a shame because it's not just here that you're going to hear it. You're going to hear it while you're exploring the town. You're going to hear it a lot. It overstays its welcome a little bit, unfortunately. But here we go. You can hear it. Here comes the loop again. It's just the decision they made with the audio. Which is a pity. It was really effective on my first playthrough, but because I wasn't aware of it as so much, but every playthrough since, it's been a bit of a frustrating thing, because the more time you stand around and explore and soak in the locations, the more punished you are because you have to listen to this awkward audio loop.
Hello?
We've got some modern game design, which is that we don't trust our players to actually understand what the blood stain directing in this direction is. So we add white cloth and then a notification that tells you about the white cloth, and then the character to interact with this stain that's left behind. And then an interactable button that pops up on the screen as well. It's also the jump scare of audio after you progress through with no point of return. It's a multi-layered disappointment in some places. Unnecessary. Right, let's yeah, I mean, I think I do appreciate that element of that it's different versus the original, just because having a direct one-to-one remake of the original, whilst cool, would be a bit of a disappointment, because it's nice to have something new as well. Credit where credit's due in that regard. They didn't just go for the weak source approach. There you go, our first health item. Nutritional supplement. A health drinks. So it plays out a little differently. Oh, shit. I get used to the combat again.
I saw in the fog. Whatever it is, it's not human.
So they play out the first combat encounter slightly differently as far as where the location is, but it plays out beat for beat pretty similarly. I'm not a big fan of it compared to the OG. To say that it did an amazing job, but the changes felt a little unnecessary, I guess. Didn't really add to it, but... And quite predictable as well with how they locked you in a room with it, essentially. But again, doesn't really take away from the experience, just a bit of a choice. Introduced to the second health item, the syringe. Going to use that now as well. Blood marks on the clothes represent how much health you've lost if you're not using the other graphical options that represent your health loss. I do love how they take her dialogue here, and not only is it chopped like in the original, but it's pitched up and down to make it sound even more unsettling. The infamous line just gone there. You could hear it at the beginning how it was pitched up and down a bit weirdly, but There's a bit of Mary calling out to us.
Where are you, Mary?
That's a good question. Here's another glimpse to the past here. If you played the original a bunch, you would know that this is where we find the keys to the apartment block. The Woodside Apartments. We'd find a corpse down here in this corner. No such corpse here now, but a blood stain where it was. A reference. So we can grab a health drink here at the back of this vehicle. Find our first corpse here instead. Those of you who played the original will know that excuse me. These corpses you come across are quite distinct in the design. They obscure it a little more in the remake for obvious reasons, but it's still there. If you're reading this, leave this place is not what it seems. Sometimes you just have to look behind. Run away, run away, run away, run away, run away. As a lover of this series, I have problems with this note. To those of you that know this game already, the base game, the one it's remaking, and to those of you who also fit those criteria and know the developers who made this remake, that also made the other games that they made, this note screams of just generic horror game to me. The font used, the fact that it doesn't strike me remotely as a handwritten note whatsoever. It just feels like a set piece from a horror game or movie. Even the way it's written feels very corny, especially with all this run away, run away, run away, run away. Like, it's repurposed from the original. This note existed in the original, but it was not written like this. The gist of it was you should run as a solution rather than to fight. But they take that and instead they go, it's a bit over the top. It's a little, I don't know, a little cringy. A little on the nose. It adds a level of comedy to the game that I don't think was intentional for me, personally. In the same way that these save points kind of add a bit of a comedy to it. By the end, they bring these save points around again. Like, there's good references to them, but moments like this where he's just like gormlessly looking into the camera is hilarious. The fact that they actually riff off of it at all, I think is neat. It's just at the beginning it just looks dumb. Anyway, we got to see one of the lying figures escaping there. Whilst this scripted encounter, a good one nonetheless. Go say hello, shall we? Hear it. The radio is picking up. So in the remake, it's in your best interest to look at vehicles, windows, and the like to pick out items that you might miss. This is on Steam, yeah. The version I'm playing is from Steam. You can pick it up for Xbox and PlayStation as well. I don't know if this is on Good Old Games as well, but yeah, only on Steam. If you're playing on PC in general, I recommend you run with the ray tracing on. There's this severe bug that they never fixed on the PC version alone, which is that if you don't run with the hardware ray tracing, which is ray tracing on, this game has ray tracing whether it's on or off in the settings. That's Unreal Engine for you. Software versus hardware ray tracing. If you only run software ray tracing, which is ray tracing off, the game is a lot darker, which is upsetting. This scene in here is well lit, correct? Like, you can see very well. You can see the background. On console, you'll have performance and visual fidelity modes, right? Performance giving you more frame rate but lower visual fidelity, and vice versa. The lighting in this room on console is just as good regardless. On PC, for some reason, if you don't have the hardware or you opt to run ray tracing off, which you can see a bit of a representation here. Again, ray tracing off is not accurate. Ray tracing is still on. You're just running software mode ray tracing as opposed to hardware. I don't know if this will update live timing, whether or not I need to reboot the game, but I believe this does update. Look at this. Suddenly it becomes pitch black in here. And this is not the only example of it, but the drastic lighting differences based on whether or not you have ray tracing on is very bizarre. It's a PC only problem. The consoles don't have it between the different visual fidelity modes. But yeah, like you say, the light. Who turned out the lights? You can see the section on the desk here is. Oh, sorry about that. Is that it's meant to be directly lit a little more than things around it. So that's what you would consider fake lighting. Something that highlights it over everything else around it, which does not stand out as badly as it does here when you have a properly lit room with the ray tracing on. But for some reason, with ray tracing off of hardware mode and only on software mode, where it relies more on baked lighting as opposed to like global illumination from ray tracing, this stands out awfully. And like I say, it happens a lot throughout the game if you don't have ray tracing on. Typically, I would encourage you to not run ray tracing for the most part, because I don't think the performance is really worth it. Again, here, that lighting accent, you can see it here. It's clearly meant to be lit a little more, but it doesn't look out of place. Whereas before it looked like it had a spotlight on it, right? If you, again, switch to ray tracing off on PC, it's really hard to even notice some of this stuff back here. This is a health item back here. You just lose a lot of that fidelity for some reason. I don't know what the reason behind it is, but this game has a lot of bugs that were never fixed. There was a lot of stuff that just they never fixed. This game came out, and very quickly after release, they decided to stop updating it, basically. This is a pity, but Bloober Team is the development team that was responsible for making Silent Hill 2 Remake. They did a great job, all things considered. I'm very critical of it because I have a lot of reference from what it's remaking from, right? And I still love it. But they're actually in the midst of developing Silent Hill Remake, the original Silent Hill. So I'll be curious just to see how they get on with that. Hopefully they learn from the things they came a bit short on with this remake and bolster the things that they were great at doing with this game as well. Be curious to see what the original game remade will be like, given it will be the second time that the original Silent Hill was remade. Yeah, looking forward to that. Don't know when that's coming out. Bit of foreshadowing here. Saw him again, or at least I think so. He says he didn't, but I don't know anymore. Tired. Can't find it. Doesn't matter. That scraping noise again. A pair of scissors. Yeah, in a barber's after all, but if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. And that's fine. I think they started with Silent Hill 2 Remake as opposed to doing Silent Hill 1 Remake, is that Silent Hill 2, in hindsight, is the best regarded Silent Hill game. Which is ironic because Silent Hill 2, back in 2001, as the first sequel in the franchise, was not particularly well regarded because it was not a direct sequel to the original game, which was very successful. However, I think the cult classic sort of identity of Silent Hill 2 Remake has meant that it's actually considered a bit better than the original. I think it probably helps that Silent Hill 1 was PlayStation 1 and then Silent Hill 2 onwards was PlayStation 2. So you had that fidelity difference, but also I think just the investment as far as finances go meant that the quality of the product was a lot higher from 2 onwards. But there's a reason why they're going back to 1, but rather than doing 3 or 4 as a remake next, right? They want to revisit that original story. Silent Hill 2 is very much a different story, or a separate story to Silent Hill 1. Silent Hill 2 doesn't really touch on the cult of the story all too much, which Silent Hill 1 and 3 do. Silent Hill 3 being a direct sequel to Silent Hill 1. I would argue that Silent Hill 4 would probably have been a more suitable sequel to Silent Hill 2 than 3 was. It's not really a sequel, it's just that there are characters that are more relevant in that compared to 3. I think the pressure from ultimately the failure of Silent Hill 2 meant that Silent Hill 3 became what it was, which was a direct sequel to the first game. Silent Hill 2, James, who we're playing as James Sunderland, his father is in the 4th game, but the 4th game is not set in Silent Hill. It does briefly touch upon it, but it's trippy and tricky subject to be ultimately clear on without spoiling a few things. So, splat. It really did become the mascot of the series, and the creator of that design and monster has been vocal about saying they wish they never created him, because unfortunately it's been quite as a result of it becoming the mascot of the series, because that was not their intent. I think people feel quite strongly about how the imagery and characters and stuff in Silent Hill 2 remake or otherwise. Alright, I thought I dodged that. Have been misused or overused, so they sort of lose their effectiveness. Pyramid Head, even if you're a die-hard fan of Silent Hill 2 or not, the franchise in general or not, you probably know of the name Pyramid Head. Where are they? I shouldn't go through. I don't know why I won't. They don't stink, but it feels like they do. No smell at all. What was I going to say? Shit, already lost. Just thinking about how those pieces of paper have been changed and how it's a bit bizarre. Enemy design is great still, though. I think they do a good job of modernizing the look of like the lying figures here. Those heels are pretty next level there. But yeah, Pyramid Head sort of, in the way back in 2006, only 5 years after this game came out, when Christoph Gans did the original Silent Hill movie, it sort of undid a lot of the nuance and point behind the character or design of Pyramid Head by just sort of shoehorning him into a story which was, the Silent Hill movie was really like a crossover of like a repurposed version of the first game, but it had Pyramid Head in it, but Pyramid Head wasn't in the first game, only in the second one. There's a reason why he's only in the second one. That sort of started this trend of then the Western-based Silent Hill games incorporated characters that didn't make sense to be in there just because they were recognized as being characters to the franchise, and it's a slippery slope, it seems. These glimpses to the past. The door that wakes in darkness, opening into nightmares. There'd be a door next to that, but it's been moved in the remake. But a nice little reference to it there. Yeah, in the original Silent Hill movie, they sort of wanted the story of the first game, but with all the positives from the second game, like Pyramid Head, to potentially spoil some of the nuance of Silent Hill 2 and the remake. Pyramid Head serves a purpose in James's story here, and a very specific purpose to James directly. Pyramid Head is not a physical entity that everybody sees, just like these monsters around us. These are things specific to James, and the way they appear is specific to James. And, Pyramid Head is too. Pyramid Head is a reference to the old executioners. That he saw images of from his visit back to Silent Hill when he was with his wife Mary back when she was still well. So it's a combination of like there is some basis for reality in the appearance of Pyramid Head, but why he appears is more of a, well, that's because James has guilt, you know, his wife being gone. That's what the executioner's appearance is meant to represent. So it's why I think a lot of people feel very strongly about Pyramid Head appearing in other games or pieces of media to do with the franchise when they don't have anything to do with James, because like Pyramid Head is a fictional, not real, a manifestation of James's guilt. So without going too much in it. So hard to see. This is again one of my frustrations with the remake is the camera is dreadful. You can see I'm fighting it a lot here. It feels like it's not designed with close quarters combat in tight locations in mind. However, that's the sort of situation you find yourself in all the time, so it's a little frustrating. But, despite its shortcomings, I think it's pretty good. The combat in the original is terrible as well, so it's not like it's really out of place any compared to that. I think the shortcomings of the combat of this game versus the original is that the original isn't really trying very hard to have good combat. It's trying to have combat, that's the extent of it. Whereas with this remake, it's trying its damnedest to have in-depth combat, which unfortunately is its shortcoming. It's trying. It would do a lot better for itself if it had combat as a means to an end, whereas it tries to have it as a genuine gameplay element, which is, it's just not the play. Think of Resident Evil and how a lot of the time combat in that game is a avoidable endeavor. That's what it was in the original Silent Hill games, and it's what it should be in this as far as I'm concerned. However, you are not just encouraged, but you are forced to engage in combat in this remake 90% of the time, because if you just run past combat encounters, you will get damaged. AI enemies have this ability to lock onto you, and you could get 20 paces between you and the enemy and they will still hit you. And as you're seeing here as well, I killed this enemy earlier. An obsession with the remake is that enemies just revive themselves for some reason, which is a bit disappointing. This would be where you get the blue gem on a New Game Plus playthrough. For the UFO ending, everyone's favorite. Let's head south down to Saul Street Apartments, a new section to the remake, not in the original. Again, anytime I feel like I talk about this game, I sound like I'm just shitting on it. I do love this game. But, it comes from a place of love that I criticize it, because it feels like it could have been so much better with what I would consider is very little effort. If anything, negative effort. Like they tried a little too hard at times. Dodged too early. I think the combat, whilst not dreadful, given it's Luba's first attempt at a game with combat in general, I think they did a very good job. Is very rough around the edges. The only way you can engage with enemies is to be within proximity and hope that the lock-on functions correctly. If it doesn't function correctly, then you'll just miss for no good reason. See, like there, I swung and I gravitate towards him, but I have no control over the direction in which I'm swinging. There's a fixed lock-on with the combat. You're very much a passenger for it, for the most part. You swing, you are magnetized towards the enemy, and you either land or you miss. And you can swing from far back and you miss, and that's to be expected because you're probably asking too much. But you can be within 2 feet of an enemy and swing, and for some reason you'll miss as well. And there's no real good feedback on why combat has failed. Here we're getting instances of telegraphed attacks, so I can dodge them. But there, for example, you've seen already that, like, I'm magnetized towards the enemy and landing hits from 5 to 7 feet away and landing those hits. But then when I'm within 3 feet or less, for some reason, just because of the animations the enemy is doing, the animations I'm doing, those hits don't land, which just, like, any depth you've added to the combat is just lost and becomes frustrating when there's no consistency. Some more of these poorly designed notes. I'll write down what I've learned so far. Maybe it'll help you somehow. If you're reading this, I'm probably dead. I think the notes themselves are pretty close to the original, and they function, but to look at the notes themselves just look really on the nose. Absolutely fucking sodden in blood and crap, and everything in this scratchy block capital font. I mean, you tell me, but to me, this just feels a bit too on the nose and a bit too tacky. To be like it's trying too hard to be scary and like, I don't know, like, pay attention to me. These are important. It doesn't look anything like a font that would, like a handwritten font, like it's trying to. In the original, you wouldn't have had as much of a visual for it. You would have just had these on-text prompts like this one. They function a lot better because you're not relying so much on the art to carry the emotion of it. And here, it just ends up looking really, forced. And they even changed the language on a lot of it to try and match this direction they were going for it, and it does not help. It, like, the impact is lost, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. See how I'm pressing space to... Oh, there you go, another missed attack there. You see how there was no reason why I should have missed that hit, but just because of the animation the enemy was doing in that moment. The game decided I wasn't allowed to land a hit. Again, it's the same exact types of like overdone, crappy font. Drink, nice. It's trying a bit too hard, I think, is the problem. They can be killed, just make sure they stay down. Even the language used has been changed over the original, and it feels a bit like, alright, mate. Notice me, senpai. Exactly. Exactly that. I always feel like I'm being a bit nitpicky about it, but like truly, I've played through the original since I last played this, and I think a lot of the original versus this game is just a lot less in your face, and I think that's not just limited to this game and the developers of this game. It's just gaming in general, I think, and not just gaming, even like stories, narratives from movies and things. It's, I don't know whether it's because publishers, developers, or creators think that people in general are dumber than they used to be, or it's an accessibility thing of just trying to make sure that anybody that exposes themselves to the material gets every last ounce of the experience out of it. It's like FOMO in the sense of having your viewers or people engaging with your material missing out on the nuances or subtlety of a story, so you make it so blatant and on the nose that nobody misses anything, but then also at the same time it's damaged because the subtlety's lost. It's odd. I definitely feel like that's a media thing in general these days. It's not just a game thing, it's a movie thing as well. I think it's rare you come across so many movies these days where it lets the material do the heavy lifting. It feels like things need to be spelled out for people these days. Splat. Grab a key. So this whole section isn't even the original. This section of apartments doesn't exist. And this is a common trend with this remake, is that they just add layers and sections to the game. Sometimes very welcome. It's nice to have more places in the town to explore. Sometimes not so much. Sometimes it feels very much like it's being a padded experience, but again, I don't think that's a criticism of this game particularly, so much as it is the obsession with games these days having to be a certain length as a bare minimum. I don't mind an 8-hour experience of a video game. That's very much what the original Silent Hill 2 was. It was about 8 hours, 9 hours, tops. This game is like 30 hours on a first playthrough. Whereas Silent Hill 2 original on a first playthrough is like 10 hours. It's tops, maybe even 8 hours, I'd say. So I'd say this game overstays its welcome a little bit. It's still very good. It's just you need to keep the pace up for your own sake before it gets a little stale. You're kind of relying on you being stupid, really. Yeah. certain now it's coming from that apartment upstairs. I keep telling them, why won't they do something? It's unbearable. I can feel it seeping into my skin, pushing itself into my lungs. There's a lot of these notes over Silent Hill that are brand new to the remake that, in my opinion, make zero fucking sense. I think they're just trying to be intentionally ambiguous and be a little like, ooh, what's going on sort of thing. As to not, like, combat the existing lore or whatever, but add to the ambiguity and sort of like, oh, what's going on sort of thing. I just... Maybe I'm a boring old cunt, but sometimes I feel like less is more. This game could do with some less. Like, you hear that? What did that sound like to you? To me, that sounded like somebody upstairs walking around, maybe closing a door behind themselves. You know, like maybe hiding or something. And when I first played through this game, I thought, oh, not only am I in a new space and a new area of a remake where something new is happening, it sounds like there's something to interact with upstairs. That's exciting. I'm like, that's interesting. We're not just stuck on this fixed trajectory of this is a remake and everything must be so. Maybe there's going to be something new. So my first thought is, let's keep going. We're out on the balcony. We're heading upstairs. Cool. That means we're closing in. On whatever that noise was. This begun part 2 of Point of No Return. Deafeningly loud, jump scary, no point of return bullshit. This continues a lot throughout this game. I always thought that the nice elements of the original Silent Hill games was that there were jump scares in them, but there was only like 1 or 2 per game, and they were tasteful in the sense that they were set up really well and never like a ooh you bastard kind of moment. But there is at least several different occasions where you're just traversing the environment and the game, because it doesn't have any way of knowing how to deal with you progressing in that area, intentionally blocks off this fucking cat, man. Demands my attention, evidently. It doesn't know how to deal with you progressing in this direction, and just sort of goes, oh, I suppose we should stop you from being able to go back. So then it hits you not only with a, oh, your ability of going backwards has been turned, like, you can't do that anymore. But they pair it with the loudest audio in the fucking game, which I can only perceive as it being an attempt at jump scaring you, and poor game design, but by saying, oh, you're on a linear path. Despite this game being nearly 4 times the length of the original, it is far more linear. It's so bizarre. And being filled with cheaper scares, which is a shame. And even more ambiguous things that mean nothing. I feel like every bit of text and dialogue you come across in the original has purpose and implies something, or has some sense in the story, but shit like this, there's a little logic to it, but most, like, these blanks, these redacted sections, like the Blood Swamp text from the original, you can actually tell what it's saying, and within the game files, it is actually explained what's being said fully. Whereas here, like, there's never any intention behind it. It's just, ooh, mystery. Right? But, like, none of this means anything. It's just filler. There's a lot of it as well, which is a disappointment. We've got some great audio here, though. Another repurposed track from the original that, whilst on a loop while we're in here, as it should be, belongs. A really, really neat touch to the remake as well, which we're going to hear as we cross through that threshold in the next room. You hear it throughout your playthrough. Has some really important relevance to the story, which I can't exactly tell you here because it's a spoiler. But listen. You hear that? What did that sound like to you? Because on my first playthrough, I didn't understand the significance of it. But on my subsequent playthrough, it was like night and day, and I was like, oh shit. That's something that wasn't in the original. It's new to the remake, but it's really, really well done. It was a gasp for air. It was a woman's breath being taken away. Now, if you know this story, you'll know what that means, even if you don't know the remake. But yeah, it's interesting. It's a cool idea. Love the just cranked bass as we walk into here. Press E to fist the hole. Number 2. Very cool. Big box button. I inked everywhere, my bad. So the implication of that room is interesting, right? No hints of what that noise could have been. Nothing else comes of it. It's a bit of a disappointment, really, as I'd kind of hoped that there was a bit more to that sound we heard upstairs, but there's nobody hidden. There's no other implications of somebody being up there or a monster or something. It was just an intrigue sound, and then the intrigue vanished, I guess. We're done now with this part of Silent Hill. I'm gonna interface with this burger joint. Not that we have to. But it makes sense to. With how dark it is in these environments sometimes, it's hard to see the choreographed animations from the enemies. what I'm supposed to be dodging. But you hear that? Oh, it's that audio loop again. Now, you might not be helped by the fact that I'm telling you it exists again, but even on my first playthrough at this point, I was like, oh, here we are with this shit again, you know? I was like... So they cut off being able to backtrack just to do it there? Yeah. I mean, you can go back into that building. You can't go all the way back through the building. You can only get back up to that area where that cutscene initially happened that implied there was somebody upstairs. But that whole fucking balcony area is cut off again. For no reason other than jump scare. Really. I don't get it. It's odd. And brother, I can't tell you how many times that happens throughout the rest of the game for no reason whatsoever other than loud noise. You can't go back. I think a lot of the time it's intended to be a sort of add a tense sort of moment. We're like, ooh, you're stuck here. You can't go back. But there's no tense. Like it's not tense at all. There's no tenseness added. There's just a loud fucking sound which might make you jump or might just annoy you. In my case anyway. And it happens a lot. It gets tired very quick. I think that's 100% it. Which it shows very little faith in the fact that the game is doing that anyway. In my eyes, like, I think the game does a great job of making you feel tense anyway. The audio, despite this loop that I found a little frustrating, is great. Keeps me on edge with the monsters around the town as I'm exploring. It just feels like it's trying a little too hard. Which again is the juxtaposition of the original, which is that the original is so good because it's just not trying so hard. It's got its intent. And it does great with what it has. Oh, sorry, mate. Not actually trying to hit you. That man was here again. I told him he'd been warned not to come here. He acted like he didn't know what I was talking about. Anyway, he got up and left. He didn't make any sort of fuss. There's something about him that gives me the creeps. Now look at his face. It's like I'm staring at a mask. Ooh. And there's something underneath. Underneath, waiting to get out. I don't want to be there when that happens. I'm hitting my my glass with my straw in it repeatedly. My cat is yelling at me. Same with the letter from the flower shop is that it's not referencing any particular person in reality. It's just referencing a version of James, it feels like. Like, not a real version of him, but I think it's just trying to build upon that. It's weird. Don't mind the cat. He yell. I think there's a shop around here somewhere that we can go in. Yeah. The subtlety is gone in the remake, I think would be the best way of me putting it, is that it's very good, but the remake doesn't leave me thinking, man, I wonder what that meant, or I wonder if that was real, so much as it does go, make me think, wonder if that was intentional, or not. Not in the sense of, like, adding to the story or the lore more than it was. Like, was that a coincidence, or... Shit. 4, 3, 3, 5. 4. Was it again? The note said. Four, 4, 0. I think it's like 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. It's one of them. Your first puzzle is literally a game of chance as well. Very, very good. It's a game of it's one of those where you think that there's a piece of the puzzle you're missing, but the reality of it is you just have to spam numbers until eventually you get it right. As much as I have my criticisms about this, and I feel like I've been whinging about it the whole time, I am grateful that this game has now been able to be experienced by a lot more people. I think not only the fact that the original is quite dated, but some people need story elements spelled out to them for it to be interesting or engaging enough for them to get through it. And I'm glad more people get to enjoy the stories of this franchise. You know, the original's never going to be gone, so I can still enjoy that. It's just a bit of a disappointment that the free real estate of the remakes wasn't capitalized on. Just anything. All right, so that's been the first section of Silent Hill Remake. Got a little bit more to do here before we can go into the apartments. The first gauntlet of the game, proper gauntlet anyway. Again, some new features unique to the remake is parts of this Bar Neely's. Bar Neely's completely optional location in the original, but they incorporated it into the remake as a obligatory section of the game. I mean, again, some of the storytelling and nuance was lost in the remake because you are forced to encounter it. There was a hole here once, but it's gone now. It is now something that's impossible to miss, whereas in the original you could miss that And then you could miss the follow-up, which is that what's the text? It's, if you want to find Mary, James, maybe you should just die, but you may be going to somewhere different than her. Like, all right, that's heavy shit. Where'd that come from? And that is something you could go 10 game playthroughs on the original game and never come across, because it's in a location you're not obliged to go to. Whereas you can't miss it now because it's rammed down your throat. I remember when I first came across that interaction, I was like, what the fuck? Anything that sort of feels like it's breaking the fourth wall slightly and talking to you directly as a character, which there is a bit of that in the base game anyway, but then having that one that's sort of a bit more damning than that was like very creepy. Yeah, it sort of loses that effect when you're forced to encounter it. Right, I'm going to pop to the loo. We're going to read this and wrap up this section of the game. Back in a minute. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. Felt I need to get some hydration going before I wrap up tonight, because I haven't had a hard drink like I have tonight in many months, and I know what's going to happen. I'm going to wake up hungover as shit unless I get my water in before I go to bed. This has been the Nate Lupson Yap stream. I hope you've enjoyed though. What I'm planning on doing, I'm not quite done yet. I'm gonna read this message. We'll watch the cutscene and then we'll go and wrap up this section. I'll get myself to the apartments, and then I'm gonna boot up the original. and we're going to play to the same point. And we're going to show you just how quickly or how different the pacing is. For better or for worse, I think, you know, it's always nice to get more money for your more game for your money. However, I think sometimes longer is not necessarily better. That's definitely not what she said, but you get my point. Is I think there's a limit, I think, to that. Whilst I think it's good to get a lot of game for your money, if it's a narrative-based experience or something that's trying to tell you a story, and you're not getting the story told to you at a good pace, then it hinders the experience, right? Right. Anyway, I'm yapping again. I don't know what got into him. He just started smashing the thing. Had to throw him out. He ran off, cried he'd fix everything. I gathered up what I could. Still haven't found one of the buttons. Half of the record is still lodged inside, but the other part's missing. Thinking he must have taken it. Come to think of it, he did run towards Groovy. That's Groovy Records, the store we went to earlier on, and picked up the broken record and glue. Anyway, maybe you go check up on him, see if he's alright. He lives over at Saul, which is the apartment building we went to and got the button from in the wall. He lives over at Saul, yeah, by the pharmacy, apartment 9. So these letters don't, like, they're trying to tell a story of somebody that's lashed out, right? And I think it's trying to draw parallels to James. But the story itself it's telling means zero. Zilch. Nothing. It's not relevant. It doesn't represent anybody necessarily. I think it's trying to draw parallels to James, but it's telling a specific story that will never come back up, has nothing to do with anything. It's just really a vehicle to tell you where you need to go. So, to the top there, he cried he'd fix everything, which is an implication that he broke the record. The record machine is busted, so you need the parts to make it work. I gathered up what I could. Still haven't found one of the buttons, which is what we got from his apartment at Seoul, which they then go on to mention. Half of the record is still lodged inside. The other part's missing. Yeah, it's like, I think it's meant to be like a hint as to what you need to do to as a solution. So it's like, it's fair enough, but I don't really buy into it. Here we go. There was a hole here. It's gone now. You know how we were talking about Pyramid Head being a bit of a mascot to the series now, and has been for the last like 20 years plus. I feel the same way about this phrase and Bar Neely's and the whole there was a hole here, it's gone now. Nobody knows what that means, by the way. There's no definitive answer to what that means. There's a lot of theories. They fucking love telling you about it, though. It's not special anymore because you have to come in here. But in the original, there was like a note somewhere that would direct you here. And you would come here and you'd read that and you'd be like, huh, what's that about? And then you'd go away, and if you happened to stop by here in the original when it's nighttime on your way through, absolutely zero reason to do so. If you did, not only would this text still be here, it would be faded and worn out because it looks like it's in old blood. But there would be another text from next to it, beyond this wall instead. It would say something addressing James directly, and was very morbid. It was very cool. But, and by interacting with that text, it would actually influence the ending you got slightly. which I really fucking like. But yeah, in this remake, you are guaranteed to come across it, and while interacting with it still influences your ending, because it's not missable. It sort of loses its whole point, I suppose. Do a save here. Let me tell you about my haul. Boy, if only I could. Right, James, how's it going? Right, let's do the puzzle in air quotes. We already got all the parts, so we're good. So there's half of the record that was stuck in there, like they were talking about. Even the audio on this puzzle, in air quotes, is really loud for some reason. Ooh, jump scared. Combination of items, by the way, used to be something you could prompt and on any item, which meant that it was hard to tell what you needed to combine. But you see how it says combine above certain items only? It kind of undoes any of the challenge of figuring out what you need to combine. I know this is a terrible example because it's very obvious, but it goes for the rest of the game too. It's like, I wonder what I need to do. It literally presents you all the things and all the slots you need to combine. It plays the game for you. It's like, oh, okay, cool. this, and then you do that, and then you do this, and you do that, and you do that, and you do this, and you do this, and then you do that. Did you catch that? No? That's fine, don't worry about it. Anyway, now you put the button on the machine, and then you put a coin in the machine, and then you press C and then 2, and there you go. Good puzzle. The puzzle was to play the record you put in the machine. Crazy. I do like that they repurposed this bit of music though. This is Magdalene, although it has a different name in the remake. Because it's extended. Or park. Airy, waiting for you.
Park on the lake. We spent the whole day there. Just the two of us staring at the water.
I'll never get over it. Oh, it exploded. That's how that works. I always thought that in the remake it was daft that you turned up and you had no fucking direction. And you just wander around the town following what little scraps of information you get to get this player to work, and then you listen to a bit of piano and go, oh yeah, me and my wife, we used to like going down the lake. That's where I should go look for her. In the original, he reminisces at the beginning about what they used to like coming to Silent Hill to do. He just sort of doesn't remember that shit, I guess, for some reason in this remake. This is a weird narrative of like not having a fucking clue what you're doing until the game goes, Yeah, Rosewater Park, eh? I think it's just all in aid of padding out the intro a bit, but it's just a bit bizarre. I don't really get it. Also, record player spits out not only the record, but a key. Cool. It ups the playtime a bunch, really. I think that's the sole reason behind it. I'll be honest, when I first played through this remake, I didn't feel remotely creeped by having to explore the town more. I was intrigued because I was like, oh, this is part of the town I never got to see before. But when you realised that it was a lot shallower than was in, like, you were hoping it to be, like, you'd only ever go into an area for like 5 seconds and then you're moving on again. It sort of lost its appeal, but up through the window we go. Another point of no return. We can't go back up there. Bit of an audio bug in here that I can't forget. Outside? Inside. Outside? Inside. Outside? Came back after you left. It's fine. He didn't try anything. He just seemed sad. I want something about getting out of town with somebody. I wasn't going to let him drive in his condition, so I locked him out. His car should be out back. Maybe check if it's still there by morning. It's the greenish blue one. Plate number ending in 06, I think. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so we're going to go check that car out. Split. We're now on the other side of zigzags. We're on the inside. This is what I mean about this game being far more linear than the original for some reason. It makes efficient use of the space it has, but that comes at the cost of like an exploration feeling, because you can only access certain areas when the game decides you're allowed to. Anyway, as soon as we interact with this, we're on a hard-coded direct line to the apartments. The game really wants to hurry us along to do that, and we have no way of going back at this point, so we have to do that. That's what we're going to do. The audio starts. We can stay there and kill them. But this fog, audio and everything will not stop unless we go to the apartment. So that's what we're going to do. At least it wasn't a jump scare this time. I mean, it kind of was though, wasn't it? Like as soon as the game goes from the cutscene to you being in-game again, it hits you with a big slam and something coming through a door nearby, right? But that's the kind of jump scare that I can at least like respect, because it's like there's a reason to be jump scared. Like, you hear all these ambient sounds. You see all this fog and dust and dirt and everything. I think it's a good tension builder. It's just a bit false because there is no rush. The facade is lost very quickly when you just stand still. Realize that all the audio you're hearing is actually just baked. There's no threat out here. Can't leave anymore. This is what I mean about, like, the game tries its damnedest to make you feel like you're in an open world, but it's either such a poorly optimized environment or whatever that it unloads the map behind you. You can't leave anymore. And that's not a story relevant thing or a plot thing, because in the base game, the original game, you can leave again. Just does this a lot. It does it in the hospital later on as well. It's bizarre. It's the expanded apartments. But yeah, that introduction scene that takes us to the apartments here is quite long. It's taken us about 2 hours. I know I've been yapping a lot of the time, but it's a pretty decent length. There's James. There's James looking all, I don't know, Jamesy and shit. Let's do. Let's do the original then, I suppose, shall we? Now, this is the enhanced edition of Silent Hill 2. Enhanced edition is a community-built mod that tries to bring Silent Hill 2 PC to the level of the PS2 version of Silent Hill 2, and then beyond. Reincorporates a bunch of the rendering methods and features, because the game was originally built for PS2 and utilized some of the hardware on PS2 that was pretty unique to the system, like audio and live shadows and things like that, that when it was ported to PC and Xbox original were lost. Fidelity of pre-rendered scenes, things like that. Yeah, I think it's cool. A cool project. They made some creative choices that I think a lot of the fans didn't necessarily agree with, but...
James, honey, did something happen to you? After we got separated in that long hallway? Are you confusing me with someone else? You were always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
Maria?
You said
such a different vibe to the original. I think it's...
I wonder if it's still there.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
It's weird. It's like the remake feels very Netflix and Hollywood production level, where everything's super serious, whereas I feel like there's a uncanny valley and weirdness to the original that feels very Lynchian, like David Lynch, and just a bit off, you know, a bit bizarre. And I know Team Silent were very influenced and inspired by David Lynch amongst others, but you know,
I don't know why, but I just love it here.
I just love the dreamy,
Peaceful.
or dream-like weird vibes of the original compared to the remake being super serious in tone and trying to scare you at every turn.
It's too bad we have to leave. Please promise you'll take me again, James.
This intro is questionable with the audio balance though.
Ghost. Anyway, I'm glad you're alive.
Anyway? What do you mean, anyway? You don't sound very happy to see me. I was almost killed back there.
Upscaled
Try to save me.
video
All you care about is that dead wife of
compared to the original.
I've never been so scared in my whole life.
Lost?
Just like that stupid dog. He had it coming too.
Eddie, you can't just kill someone because of the way they looked at you.
I don't know. Maybe I did.
What's a little girl like you doing here anyway?
Huh? Are you blind or something?
Oh, it's you.
Just putting a gun to their head.
I am. You want me to be?
So, what about Laura? Did you find her?
Yeah, but she ran away.
We've got to find her.
It doesn't matter who I am. I'm here for you, James. See? I'm real.
Don't believe what she says. Yeah, that I think that's like one of the trailers or something. But for some reason the controller isn't working. Let me see if this works. There we go. You got the Born from a Wish scenario here as well. They didn't ever add that to the remake, bizarrely, but we'll just start from the beginning here.
Mary, could you really be in this town?
That's all you get right off the beginning. You're not directly forced into that big dialogue that he has out on the observation deck, and you're in here in the toilet off the bat, and you can also see in here rather than it being pitch black. Is Lilith, as I talked about earlier on. You can see just how one-to-one it is with the remake, though, or the remake is to the original, though, which is very impressive, it must be said. They did a very good job. Let's get out of it.
In my restless dreams, I see that town, Silent Hill. You promised you'd take me there again someday, but you never did. Well, I'm alone there now, in our special place, waiting for you.
I got a letter. The name on the envelope said Mary. My wife's name. It's ridiculous. Couldn't possibly be true. That's what I keep telling myself. A dead person can't write a letter. Mary died of that damn disease 3 years ago. So then, why am I looking for her? Our special place. What could she mean? This whole town was our special place. Does she mean the park on the lake? We spent the whole day there. Just the two of us, staring at the water. Could Mary really be there? Is she really alive? Waiting for me?
It just has a different vibe about it, doesn't it? I feel like the remake's very cinematic and very, let's say, very movie-like. It's very serious. I feel like this one feels a little more personal, a little more like you're witnessing someone's account rather than cinematic experience. I think I love the audio interaction a lot more, even if it feels a little more B-movie, a little less professional. I think that's really the difference between the remake and this in general, is that it's a little rough around the edges in the original, but it adds to the charm. Here we are with this road sign I was talking about, how in the remake they intentionally obscure how far it says Brahms is. Now, it seems like I've got the edited texture in this one. In the original Silent Hill 2, Brahms is 265. There's an edit here that seems to change it to 26.5. But yeah, I always found it interesting. I mean, it says Old Silent Hill is 50, and that can only be miles. But Old Silent Hill will not be more than like 5 miles away, just because of how close we are. So it feels like it's intentional, right? That shit's just a bit. It's like a hint that things are already a little off kilter, a little bizarre. Because it says the only thing there that's been changed is there's a decimal point put in where it said Brahms is 265, which is the next town over. But it says Old Silent Hill is 50 miles away. Which, given we're in Silent Hill already, is just daft. If you actually look at the map right now, you can see This is where Old Silent Hill is. It's up here. Sorry, give me a sec. Yeah, Old Silent Hill is up here. If you've played the first Silent Hill game, you'll know that this part of the map up here is part of the first game. You actually come down here, you go to Lakeside Amusement Park in the original. This, from here, this is not 50 miles. So I think it's intentional that it said 265 to be like, something's fucked up. That's not quite right. Like it's a hint that things are already going wrong and not quite what they seem. Like the town itself is a unreliable narrator, which I think is cool. But I guess not only some fans but some devs of the remastered wanted to fix that. Fix in air quotes. Don't put decimals on distant sides. Yeah, right, as well. That doesn't really make much sense as well. I think they're just clutching at straws to try and make it make sense. But they're completely missing the point, I feel like. I can't say for sure. It could just be oversight from the devs, but something tells me there's a bit of intention behind it. Because it's not just like one small error, it's multiple, right? I think one is a coincidence, but multiple feels intentional. Unique audio that I always like to wait around to listen to. Some creepy shit. Look how thick this fog is, by the way. As cool as the walk is in the remake, you can see where you're going. This is really like... And with the fixed camera perspective switching as well. I think the tension is just, excuse me, much higher because you don't know what's coming up next. Audio building. Not on a loop. Or well, on a loop, but not a noticeable loop. Because it's dynamic. Another layer builds in based on our progress. Here's this save point in the world, just like in the remake. Very nicely done in the remake. We get this text prompt, there's something in the well. What's that? Yeah, this makes me feel like someone's groping around inside my skull. It gives me a weird feeling. So we get that said out loud in the remake, which is a kind of neat touch. And here we are heading into the cemetery where we meet our first character. Angela.
Excuse me,
I'm sorry.
No,
was
it's
just...
okay. I didn't mean to scare you. I'm kind of lost.
Lost?
Yeah. I'm looking for Silent Hill. Is this the right way?
Yeah. It's hard to see with this fog, but there's only the one road. You can't miss it.
Thanks.
But...
Yes?
I think you'd better stay away. This town, there's something wrong with it. It's kind of hard to explain, but...
Is it dangerous?
Maybe. And it's not just the fog, either.
Okay,
It's...
I got it. I'll be careful.
I'm not lying.
No, I believe you. It's just, I guess I really don't care if it's dangerous or not. I'm going to town either way.
But why?
I'm looking for someone.
Who is it?
Someone very important to me. I'd do anything if I could be with her again.
Me too. I'm looking for my mama. I mean my mother. It's been so long since I've seen her.
Watch your hand
I thought
here.
my father and brother were here, but I can't find them either. I'm sorry.
They hint at it in the remake
not
as
your
well.
I hope you find them.
Yeah, you too.
A little more deliberate with it here, where she's like talking about her father and her brother and just strokes the headstone there. It's kind of creepy knowing, but yeah, very bizarre. The interaction again, I say it's sort of like got some of that uncanny weirdness that like some David Lynch shit has, which is that it feels very unnatural of an interaction. She feels a lot more childlike in how she interacts here as well. Very intentional. She's actually meant to be in her teens, but she sort of looks like she's in her 20s. That was part of the character design, was to make her feel and look a lot older than she really was. If you know the game and you know her story, you'll sort of know why that is. It's a bit bizarre, but if you wanted anything to take the edge off, you could try interacting with her again and things get even more weird.
Aren't you looking for someone?
That's right.
And if you're not quite convinced, you can try again.
Aren't you looking for someone?
That's right.
Yeah, nothing new. It's pretty good though. That's right. Nothing else to see here in the graveyard, but fascinating nonetheless. So we can continue on town. Show you here on the map how things are very similar to what they are in the remake. Again, the remake sort of pads out this section of the game quite a bit. But something you don't get in the remake is this. Listen to the audio. Someone tricking you. As soon as you stop, the audio stops. Chainsaw's a new game plus item in the remake. It is on console as well. For some reason, the console, the PC version, the port wasn't made by Konami or Team Silent. And for some reason, no matter whether or not it's a new game plus or just new game, you get Chainsaw on your first run through, which is a bit bizarre. That creepy audio of someone following you. So the path is slightly different. We don't come across that shop we have to go into to get a key. Do you come across this underpass still? You don't have that other underpass that you can see physically to represent a glimpse into the past, because there's no need for it, because we're going to go there to the exact location anyway. This is the part I was talking about when I said there's a point of no return. So, because it's a loading screen, their way of stopping you from going backwards is very kind of unsettling, which is no reason to go back. I'm going to look for Mary. Like, there's no reason. Like, I'm set, brother. I'm on this trajectory. Ain't nothing can change what I'm planning on doing. On you go. Already see it's kind of similar to what it was like in the remake. This narrow walkway with this big drop down to the right. You just about make out the bottom. Town. James runs out of breath very quickly in OG. You can hear that we've got some of that audio in the background, and whilst it is kind of looping in the background, there is an amount of randomness to the sounds you hear. That means it doesn't really sound like it's looping. It's good ambience, it's not a looping soundtrack. Here's Roadrunner. This is where we picked up map of the town, the full map of the town in the remake. No such cutscene here. Is the flower shop that we could go into in the remake. Can't go into it in the base game, but you know that health kit I said had already been opened? Well, here it is. It's here in the original, and I think it's a reference. It being there and open and empty is a reference to the fact that it's there in the original. Nice little nod, I thought. Nothing to interact with there. So instead we walk up to the intersection and we follow the bloodstains. So again, like, we're on a bit of a linear trajectory early on because the game wants to introduce us to weapons. As soon as we've done this, it opens up for the blood. Technically, there is a way to bypass the limitations of this early section. Yeah. Glitch abuse, but this would have been a dead end in the remake, but instead we get to explore down here. James looks at things he can interact with, like health drinks. Down here we get to have our first interaction with an enemy in the OG. A little different than that of the remake. You hear the radio already. And this is what that first glimpse into the past in the remake was a reference to. It's to here. But you hear how this ambience and audio, other than the radio sound, is the bit that they're referencing in the remake soundtrack. This is a tension builder, right? And it makes sense because we're approaching this. It's not just a loop that plays throughout the entire area while you're wandering around like it does in the remake. And the audio balance is just right. You've got the builder, and then it cuts. And that sound in the background is a lot more subtle, whereas it just feels poorly mixed, I guess, in the remake. It's a little confusing.
Is it dead? What the hell is it? It's not human. Oh yeah. This thing broken? What the? I'd better take it anyway. I might need it.
Bloody footsteps left behind after having walked through the corpse. So you can see a lot of the parallels with the way it was shot and interacted with in the remake, which was some nice references back to this one. The way that James backs up into the wall behind him and then pulls the board from the wall behind him. It's a good touch. Now, so we've done our tutorial fight just like we did in the remake. And in the remake, we had to go off to Groovy Records and get the record and the glue. Then we had to go to the apartment blocks to get the button. Then we had to go to that specific restaurant to get the token. In the original, all we've got to do is get a key to the apartments. Those other references that was in the remake. Yeah, the glimpse into the past. So, you know what took us 2 hours plus in the remake? I don't know how long we've been playing the original for. See when I get in there and save, but I've not exactly been speed running this. Could have been done even quicker. But just like that. Go bastard. We're in the apartments in the original now as well. Let me save. What took me 2 hours plus in the remake only took me 18 minutes in the original. I think that puts into perspective very quickly just what the pacing difference is between the remake and the original. It's not that way the whole way through the game. It ebbs and flows a bit, but that's just the trend that I think the remake has. It's just everything takes so much longer. There was some stuff I could have read about as well while exploring the town there, but there's just not really a lot to interact with compared to the original, which is, to the remake, which is, I think it's cool that the remake has more stuff to look at, but a lot of it feels forced in the sense that it's just trying to pad out the game length, which it does. Like I say, my first playthrough of the remake took me over 30 hours, just over. I think my first ever playthrough of this game took me like 10 to 12. It's nearly 3 times the length on a story deep playthrough. If you played casually with the intent of just getting through the game, this game will take 8 hours maximum, 6 hours maybe, whereas the remake would still take about 26 hours. I've beaten this game in less than 2 hours before, I think. I don't know, let's have a look. Less than 4 hours there. But, I mean, the shortest outside of an actual speed run on the remake I ever got was like 10 hours. So big difference. And that's not like discredit or to credit any which version. It's just a bit different. But it doesn't. I think the remake doesn't really provide a lot more story or depth in that 2 hours. Which is probably why I think I prefer the pacing of the original a bit more. But it was nice to go through it on the first and second playthrough of the remake, because you were essentially getting probably what you were asking for after having beaten the original several times already, which is a bit more of those things that you really enjoyed, which is, building upon the town a bit, letting you go into shops that you only saw the storefronts of before. It was cool. You get to explore the town a bit. But I feel like the novelty of it wears off pretty quickly when you realise that you're obliged to go through all these locations because you had to pick up an item here, there, and everywhere, and maybe they try and hit you with a jump scare along the way, and then you realise there's not actually anything particularly interesting to see while you're there, and it kind of wears off. But again, I still enjoy the remake just for the sake of all the extra level of detail and the environment. It's very cool. But I thought I'd quickly show you what doing the first section of the original compares to the remake, and like I say, it's no time at all. I am, however, going to end the stream here, though, I think, because it is 5:45 in the morning. I need to go and get some sleep. Far, far later than I intended to be on. Managed to crank out a 3-hour stream at God knows what fucking hour I started this. But thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. Company was planning to do a more typical stream today, or yesterday, or both. But this will have to do. I'm going to go and get a bit more hydration and go to bed. And hopefully I'll catch up with you in the next couple of days with something a bit more typical on my typical schedule. Good to see some of you, even if it was only somewhat brief, but yeah. Yeah, pure degenerate hours for sure. Take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.